everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Pole Obsession with me, Felix Kane, and the beautiful Elizabeth Domazet. We also have a very special guest today, also known as the Pole Wizard, the beautiful Jakub. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Hello, thank you for having me. Hi.
Do you want to intro yourself? I always think it's better when you guys introduce yourself because we're not good at it. We'll forget everything.
It's always just weird. Just what do I say? I'm a pole dancer, clearly, hence why I'm here. I'm based in the UK. I've been in the game for 14 years now. I specialize in heels. And well, fun fact, because we're in our current group, Dame Felix Kane is the reason I went to my first lesson in the first place. So here we go, full circle moment.
A lot of people say that when they get on, do you know that?
Yeah.
Especially overseas. I think that they love you overseas, Felix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You find us. It's just the YouTube videos of you like call out to the people in need of a new activity. And then you find us and we're like, well, she's crazy. I'm going to try this.
Exactly.
Tell us what else you do in the industry. So you travel and you do workshops and you teach online?
So I own a studio. I have an online platform. Tutorials, live classes, stuff like that. I'm a master trainer for an instructor's course. So I also certify people to teach. I organize my own camps, and then I travel with workshops and camps and all of that. So it's like 7 jobs, but it's all pull, you know?
Yeah. Well, we know. What's your camp?
Oh, it's just at my own studio. So it's just called the Wizarding Weekender. And I kind of started it that way because the space is huge. So it's very comfortable training conditions. And I just kind of noticed from traveling around with a lot of camps that maybe we're in this like beautiful warm location and you have to pay all of this money to get there and stay at this nice hotel and all of that, but you don't really get to enjoy it that much because you're just in the studio, you're in classes all the time. And then sometimes it results in like the aircon not being good in the room, and because it's a hot country, like the training conditions are just a little bit worse. And I thought, okay, so if somebody wants to go somewhere, because if you want like a retreat style thing and you want like a vacay and training, that's amazing. But if somebody just wants mainly to go and get a ton of really good classes and not have to break the bank on going to an exotic location or anything like that, I was like, just do it at home. Just do it at home at an affordable price, and it's working well.
Speaking of owning your own studio, we would love to know your thoughts on that, because we've obviously seen your post that went a little bit viral about owning a studio, and we both hard agree with you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Should we briefly talk about what's in the post in case people haven't seen it?
Yes.
Yeah, we can touch on those points. So basically, I just wanted to do a post to let people know kind of the reality, like not just the fun parts of having a business like this, but also the behind the scenes, because I remember when I was just a student and I had all of these misconceptions about having a studio, because I would go to one and like I'd see multiple people in the classes and I'm like, oh my God, they must be raking it in. And you just get to do what you're obsessed with for a living. So this must be incredible. And then once you start living that life, it's not all sunshine and rainbows the way you thought it was going to be. So just before somebody ventures down that path, I was like, well, here are some things to take into consideration, because, well, one thing I forgot to mention in that post, actually, that people don't think about at all is this is almost like a lifetime commitment for a lot of people. Because let's say you venture down the route of full-time pole. You don't have any secondary occupation. You just do full-time pole. And you're doing that, I don't know, you're a studio owner for 15 years, 20 years, whatever. And then you're getting to an older age where you're like, maybe I can't do all of this to quite such a high extent anymore. Maybe I want to, do something that's a little bit easier on my body. Think of what job are you going to get when the last 20 years have been spent just owning a pole studio? You think you're going to walk into some kind of high earning profession, even if you have the qualification when you've been out of the industry for 20 years? It's serious stuff that you need to think about, because it's like, how are you going to retire? How long can this keep going? So people don't really usually think about that. It's very much YOLO. I'm in my 20s, I'm in my 30s, and like, I've got energy, I can do this. So that's one thing. But then I think the sheer workload, people do not expect how difficult it is and how much there is to do, because up until you build yourself up, you are pretty much a one-person ship unless you have a business partner. Like either you against the world or there's two of you against the world, and there's a lot to do. There's marketing, there's accounting, there's cleaning, there's training, there's making sure all of the equipment is up to standard. There's, checking in on the emails, all of that. It's constant. There's a lot to do, and it does get tiring, because it's not just a case of I'm just teaching classes and I love this, form of physical activity, so every day is paradise. Well, first of all, there's a lot more you have to do outside of just teaching. Second of all, you have to teach a lot yourself, especially at the beginning before you build up like a whole team and all of that. And also, if you want to make more yourself, you can't just give away all of your hours to other people, because that's money you have to spend on other people. So there's a lot of work you have to do yourself. So then all of that accrued, which some people pointed out in the comments as well, results in you not only being tired and exhausted, you often just don't have time for your own training. A lot of people who go pro and travel with workshops or just teach a bunch of classes, usually class planning ends up being your training time now. Like you don't not have the luxury to just go and play around for hours on end, because you have so much other stuff you need to be doing. So that was one thing that I wanted people to think about, because when you turn your passion into a job, there are going to come some times where you get a little bit tired of the sheer amount of it that you need to do just for a living, just for work. So if somebody's more of they're obsessed with pole, they absolutely love it, and their passion lies in training just for themselves and having that spark and having that joy out of this one thing, honestly, it's worth thinking maybe it's better to just stick with what I'm doing now, and then I do pole just for myself, because it's not going to be just for yourself the moment you go professional. It's not. Like everything's going to be predominantly about doing your work. Another thing I mentioned is also the fact that you're never, as a self-employed person in general, or as a business owner, you're not always guaranteed a salary. You're just not. You have quiet periods, you have pandemics happening, you have Meta constantly shadow banning our accounts or not pushing our ads out and stuff like that, which does not happen to other businesses. And that's a real problem that you need to be prepared to fight. And at the end of the day, you got to pay your bills, you got to pay your team. And if there's something left, then you get paid. Sure, you can have a well-run business that can be turning a profit, but that requires just a lot of work and usually organizing secondary or even third-party events like camps and shoots and all of that kind of stuff to make it work. So a lot of people who own studios either do a lot themselves, or maybe they still have a day job or some kind of freelancing second gig, or they're polers that travel and teach workshops and have platforms and all of that. But usually people have something else going on to make it work. So that's another thing to take into consideration. Then I think I also, I briefly touched on this already, was talking about, retirement. Like, unless you use the periods when you're earning really good money, if hopefully you have those, you gotta invest, you gotta pay into a pension, you gotta do something, because otherwise you're gonna get to 55, 60, 65 years old, and then you're gonna be like, do I ever get to retire? Because like, am I gonna make enough money if I just focus on management and everybody else teaches? It's doable, but it's not going to be crazy money like you expect it to be, unless you have multiple locations that are all turning a huge profit, which again is very unpredictable based on just the economical situation in the world. Like we have a, cost of living crisis now and so many other things going on. So you can never look that far into the future and have a guarantee of how things are going to go. So that's why I wanted to highlight in that video that it is a business of passion, and your heart really has to be there to stick with it and see it all through and be prepared for also the harder times, not just the times when things are going really well.
It is really hard. And I don't think that people realize all of those things that you have just said, that when they do open a business, there's no way you can think about that when you open a business, because you don't know. You don't know what's coming up. You don't know what you're in for. You don't know if you're even going to be able to pay your rent, let alone your electricity bill and your internet, and buy the new equipment and get the new equipment serviced, and you got to buy toilet paper, you got to buy soap, you got to buy all the things, and then you've got to be the cleaner, and you've got to teach a whole heap of classes yourself. I don't know. I mean, there is some studios that I know that have done very well. I think most studios that have done very well were back in the day. I don't think there's a lot of studios that are doing exceptionally well anymore. And I do think that there's just been too many studios opened. I know in Australia alone, last year, Felix and I did a podcast on 20 studios closing in Australia, which is incredible. 20 studios is a lot.
Wow.
This year, I know we're up to 35 between last year and this year. 35 studios in Australia. And Australia's not a huge country. Whole studios to close. Doesn't matter what you say. That's a fact. That's a statistic. And
yes,
there's a reason that is happening.
Yeah. I mean, I saw some people commenting under the post as well that you need to love the business side of stuff just as much as you love the dance side of stuff, because you are an entrepreneur at that point. You are a business owner, and you've got to stay on top of that business side of it as well. But I like that you touched on the topic of just there being maybe, let's say, too many studios, because I think we have a general oversaturation of everything in the industry now, because so many new comps popped up, so many new camps popped up. How many people have online platforms now? Like all of these businesses that, before COVID, how many people had platforms? Just maybe a handful. And now, obviously, that we're so many years past COVID, new ones are opening all the time. Again, under that impression that like, oh, this is online, I'm going to be raking this money in. And it's like, well, you are 6 years too late at this point, kind of.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's not going to be easy. That's one thing I can guarantee you. And you see camps getting canceled, you see studios closing, you see online platforms shutting down, because there's just, that we do have a finite amount of resources to share between everyone. And if we just have a big boom of all of these businesses opening, obviously not every single one of them is going to be thriving. That's just logical.
Yeah. And the popularity of pole, whether we like it or not, is in a bit of a decline at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I always find that it goes in cycles, that there's there's this period where it suddenly pops into everybody's head that pole exists and it's something they need to try because they've heard of it or they know someone who tried it and all of that. And then there's sometimes just a period that you observe at the studio. It's like, oh, it's very quiet now. Like the ads are out, everything should be working, but just for whatever reason, it's quieter, So I do think we are going to continue going in those waves, and we are going to have those booms as well. But I guess it's location dependent as well. Our studio is doing okay now. Like we're not noticing it being very quiet, but obviously every country is so vastly different in terms of how the industry operates, I think.
Yeah, well, that's good, because I know Australia definitely is on the decline. I know some of us are holding steady, but I know that a lot are not, and they've dropped like by 50%, which is...
It can be catastrophic. Yeah, I think I think when we had I think it was 2 years ago, when I think everyone was really stressed because cost of living had increased and everything had gone up, and people were canceling their memberships and not coming. New people weren't coming either. And that's when I saw a really big decline in retention, but also a massive decline in newcomers, in new people trying it. And as you guys know, that's our bread and butter, right? We need those new people
Yes.
trying it. And when people are not like willing to spend their money on fun things like pole dancing, because they are stressed, they want to make sure that they've got enough money to put food on the table first, then we are a luxury, So I think that our initial boom phase of when pole was new and the curiosity factor now has kind of diminished. We don't see the sheer numbers that we used to when pole was brand new. And then we have, now that it's become more mainstream, I think we have these rhythms, these cycles through the year where it sort of matches up with the weather and the taxes and, with people's spending habits. And we are, I think, quite similarly aligned with most boutique fitnesses, gyms and things like that. But I do see just in the quantity of numbers, it's gone down. That year, I think it was 2 years ago, my business ran at a loss, which was the first time in the history of owning a pole studio that I've ever ran at a loss. And I was like, oh, am I actually bad at this? This year, now we're doing fine again. Now the numbers are back almost where they were post-COVID. We're growing steadily, which is good. But I think that with any of those lessons, like you said, Jacob, learning to love the business side of it is something that I really struggle with because I'm not very good at it. And so I always have to learn by mistakes and then fix those mistakes, which when you have a business, it's money just flies out of the door, right? Every lesson that you learn is usually because you're just about to close down or you have no money coming in and you can't pay your bills. And then you're just forced to learn how to do something different, how to pivot. Elle and I always talk about pivoting. How do we pivot in this moment to change a little bit? So I think that, not only enjoying the business side of it, but having that level of ingenuity where you can think on your feet, think fast on your feet and change things so that whatever wasn't working, you can let go of and do something that does work in the future.
Absolutely. You can't be stagnant ever because every industry changes. People's habits change, not only spending habits, but just, I guess, the way they behave, the systems that they like to follow in terms of specific activities, their routine, all of that is adaptable, especially with younger generations and all of that who just function quite differently from, let's say, us. So yeah, you've got to stay on your toes and you've got to watch those numbers and you've got to stay on your feet all the time and think, what can I do differently? What's not working? And sometimes it's just throwing stuff at a wall and seeing what's going to stick. Because again, nobody, and I won't accept this argument from anyone, nobody has all of the answers. I don't care if somebody says I have X, Y, Z number of years of business experience and whatever. So do I. I have a business degree too. Nobody has all of the answers. You can't predict the future. So, because I think there was one comment underneath my video as well that it's I'm misrepresenting because this is not what it looks like. And I think what's harmful or potentially dangerous in a statement like that is that you're almost promising people something that you cannot guarantee them. You do not have the power to guarantee somebody success if they follow your plan. You don't know their market. You don't know the demographic where they are. You don't know where they're based. You don't know how big of a city it is. You don't know what the current financial situation, economical situation of that area is. You cannot guarantee someone ahead of time, follow my rules and you are guaranteed to succeed and be making money. You just simply can't do that. So yeah, that's my hot take on that.
You can't know the person either, can you? You can give them all the rules and you can say, follow my plan, but they might not. So there's so many variables, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But like we also mentioned before, there are studios that do make money. Obviously, there are people who live well off of studio ownership, or maybe they even own multiple sites. So I guess what's important to highlight is that our current discourse is not to say don't open a studio, it's a bad idea. It's more just be prepared that this is all of the other stuff that's associated with being a business owner of this type, I guess.
Yeah. Proceed with caution.
Yes. Be prepared.
Yeah. We've got some Australian stats just on businesses and what businesses make in Australia. So these are real statistics that Can't argue with.
Yeah. So do you want me to read them or you want to read them?
Yeah, you read them. Yeah.
I'll read them. So this one's from the ABC, so reputable source. About 75% of Australian small business owners earn less than the average Australian wage, despite typically working longer hours. 50%, over 50% of small business owners take home less than 1,000 per week, under about 52K per year. That's from Ahead for Business. And around 43% of small businesses make no profit at all in a given year. 43% is so much. That's like, and these are small businesses, like not just pole dancing. This is just small business. The average full-time Australian earnings were approximately $2,051 per week. So that's about 106,000. Thank you very much per year in late 2025. So that's an average full-time wage, and we have 50% of small business owners taking home less than 1,000 per year. So like half of an average wage.
But 43% making no profit, like none. 43%. That's almost 1 in 2 businesses that open will make no profit whatsoever. That's just a statistic that you cannot argue with. And that's the reality of it. So you have to go in, with your eyes open.
An important thing to comment on, like for me, my biggest expense is, the two biggest ones are staff wages and rent, right? Because for a pole studio, we need the square footage, the square meterage. We need huge spaces. And that costs a lot of money per annum. So you can be making on paper a lot of money in revenue, but that doesn't equate to this like profit, especially after taxes and wages.
Taxes
It's honestly, at this point, I am a slave to HMRC, and it's just, here, just take it all. Just, do you know what? My customers are just going to start sending the money directly to you, because what's even the point? But like one, I think, important point to make also, and this is kind of touching on what Felix said, that we are a luxury service. We simply cannot as well, given the just economical state of the world, we can't raise our prices in line with inflation the way necessary goods increase, like food, utilities, all of that, because people are already complaining that it's an expensive activity. And sure, if you compare it to a gym membership or whatever, like we have a limited amount of people that we can have in the room per hour. Usually we operate in the evenings because that's when people aren't working, unless, if you're in an area with people who don't work during the day, then sure, you can have daytime, or if you have kids classes or whatever. But if you just run adult classes, you're limited pretty much to 6 p.m. onwards, usually, like the hotspot hours. So you have to have a price that's going to justify this building even staying open. So then try increasing that every time the price of everything else increases, people won't pay it. So don't think about that. Like, think even about other industry stuff. Workshop prices that people charge, and you can weigh in on this because I don't know how it's changed in Australia, but I think in the United States, people haven't increased the money they charge per person in like probably 10, 12 years. I think it was $50, $55 back then, still $50, $55 back like right now. And I'm sorry, but the value of that $55 has drastically changed in a decade. And it's the same in the UK. Like everybody was going on 40 for like, oh my God, 10, 15 years. Everybody was 40. And then some of us increased it to 45. Maybe some braver souls even went to 50. But still, that tiny increase in a decade, you don't get the same value for that money anymore. So we also have to be thinking about that when you go into an industry that is not a necessity to people and relies on them having disposable income. It's, with time, maybe you end up making less. Maybe, your gross profit's going to look like it's higher, but you get less for it, because times change.
Yeah.
What do we do is the real question. How do we turn it around? How do we pivot? How do we make our luxury products so fantastic that people want to come to it? So, I mean, we've all been in the industry for a really long time. There's certain things that we can do to make it make it great again.
Not that line.
Make Paul great again. Should we get some red caps?
Oh my goodness. Do you know what? Do you know what I've actually been pondering recently? Because in the grand scheme of things, in the grand scheme of how old dance is in general, pole is still young compared to, other styles of dances. And I wonder if we're ever going to navigate down the path of, let's say, how other classical or commercial dance systems operate in dance studios. Because I feel like in pole studios, it's very much you join your beginner's course and then you join, like, I know in Australia, you run kind of terms, right?
Yeah.
For like, so we'll usually just do monthly stuff outside of a course in Europe specifically. But you just kind of go to your level and then you just take your classes, you do open practice, you take privates and all of that. But then when it comes to students who like to perform or just are really adamant about getting really good at pole, sometimes they prepare for these competitions on their own or for their performances on their own. And I'm like, well, we're not that kind of industry yet where people join at a very young age. So by the time they become like performing teenagers or performing adults, they've been equipped with all of the tools to know how to do well and stuff like that. So in other dance studios, what will happen when you're really keen on being a performer, a competitor, or whatever, is you'll join like the performance group or the show group or the sports group. Like you know what I'm talking about, right? You go to the group where you have multiple dedicated classes in the schedule for you. You have to like, I don't know, pass an audition or whatever to even be in this group. And then you have all sorts of dance lessons and technique and stuff like that. And I'm honestly very keen on trialing that at my own space because we have some people who absolutely live for being on stage. And I'm like, okay, I know from also judging competitions, I'm like, I do a lot of critiques on just general posture, on acting, on audience connection. I'm like, well, it's not your fault that you don't know how to do this unless you had acting training or you were a theater kid. How are you supposed to know this? You're not learning this at the pole studio. And also I'm wondering if the system is ever going, because it's becoming so older and more popular, if we're ever going to adapt kind of the mentality and training approach that you have with classical dance. Because if you do, let's say, contemporary or ballet, it doesn't matter if you're a prima ballerina, you're still standing at that bar and doing the same bar exercises you were doing when you started. Like, I have a ballroom background. You could be the world champion. You go to class, you're doing a basic Roomba walk for the 5 millionth time because you can still get it better. And pole's mentality is very much like, I got it. What's the next thing? What's the next cool thing? How often do we spend a whole hour doing a dip to a pirouette? Because that's what happens in these other dance styles. You do this basic combo that you've done a million times and you make it better and better and better. So I wonder if we're ever going to change to that and if that's going to change the client mentality in terms of their dedication to the craft, right? Like the way we fell in love with dance when we were younger and we're like coming to these classes all the time. And maybe then they won't look at it as like, oh, this is just a fun little thing I do in an evening, right? When I've got the cash or whatever. Maybe we just need to get people more like, okay, you're serious about this and you're part of a thing. So no matter what happens, this is not something you are going to be willing to quit.
Do you think that's a different demographic? Like, do we need to find a different demographic? Because you know how you were saying the sort of styles of how people train changes. I've been in this industry for like 20 years now. Back when we started, it was very much like we would spend an hour doing one thing because there wasn't that much vocabulary. I think with the introduction of pole on easily available on YouTube and Instagram, there's so many different influences, and I think that this gen now is very much like dopamine hunting, and they want the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So is that, I guess my question is that a different demographic? Like, is it a different group of people, or is it the same group of people just trained differently?
I would say probably it'll be the latter because hobbyists who aren't serious about taking it to that level will just continue going to the terms or the courses like they were, just like it happens everywhere else. I just feel like when somebody catches the bug for something and they want to get really serious about it, that mentality just drastically shifts. Because I can even remember when I finally finished my basic courses and I was allowed to join the sports group and ballroom, I lost my goddamn mind. I was so excited. I was training all the time, dancing in my house all the time. And these students, even though a lot of them are adults, they kind of have the same thing, you know, that they want to do that. And I mean, again, there's one way to find out, right? Like you got to trial it, see, it might not work. It might not work. And then you go back to other ideas. But I've been thinking about it for a while, especially for people who love performing, to just learn how to do it really well.
Yeah, I love that so much.
I know you would.
Now in my studios, randomly, you would think that my studios are full of competitors because I own the Australian Pole Championships, but they are not. I have very few competitors in my studios. They're probably, out of the hundreds of students I've got, I'd have a handful, like maybe 5 competitors, like that are really like, I want to do this and I want to do well. If we did have that kind of program in, then you would have people opt into it that you didn't even know wanted to do that.
Yeah, I feel like maybe they can also sometimes feel that they don't have maybe the means or the support system to do the job correctly. Because sometimes like I won't even know that somebody's entered something because they just haven't mentioned anything until like a week or two before. And it's like, well, first of all, say something so we can all come and support. And second of all, why didn't you reach out for help? Like, but then obviously I'm not going to force someone like, you have to book privates because privates cost money. Maybe they don't have the money to spend on that. I understand. But then if that group existed, that was pretty much like the price of what, I don't know, our unlimited membership is, and they got all of these additional tools and they got all of the tutoring, then maybe people would be more keen. But we do have, I wouldn't say we have a massive amount of competitors, people who step out to be judged. We do have some, but our students are crazy about performing. Our showcase sells out like hotcakes. Like this year we had to split it into 2 showcases because it's just that many people. So they definitely want to step out and they want to perform. Maybe they're just not ready for somebody to put numbers in specific categories based on what they see, you know?
That's interesting. How do you get so many in your showcases?
Well, it started out a lot quieter. Our first showcase was very quiet. Second one wasn't much better. I think we have between 50 and 60 people performing this time. And they honestly just get infected by watching the previous year because the space is big, so we can sit over 100 people in our pole room alone. And we do like nice lighting. We have a videographer, all of that. And the vibe is immaculate because the students hype each other up so much. So the screaming, you would think that you're at some kind of BTS concert or whatever. It's amazing. I don't even like performing that much, but I love performing there because you can't like have a bad time. And then they watch that and they're like, well, I need to feel this. That felt amazing. I want to be a part of this. And every year it's just it nearly doubles. So like next year, maybe we're going to have to run 2 days. I don't know, but it's good. It's good to see that they want to do something like that, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome.
How big is your studio?
Oh, so the studio's about, I think just over 3,000 square feet.
We don't understand that, do we? Let's calculate.
See, I think around 300 square meters.
Yeah, that's big.
That doesn't include my reception area because that's counted as like the corridor or whatever. So the pole room alone, we have 10 poles there and they're spaced out like 3.6, 3.7 meters between poles.
Wow, that's
so much space.
So yeah, it's because we have these beams running across and we had 5 beams. So I was like, well, I can have 10 poles or I can have 15 poles. But do you guys have a 1 per pole policy in Australia or do you do 2?
No,
yeah, so we do 2. So I thought, well, given an instructor pole, that leaves us 18 spaces in 1 class. I'm like, that's more than enough. We can't have 15 poles and squeeze like 28 people into 1 class. That would be ridiculous. So I was like, have the luxury spacing, just do 10 poles. And then we have a second smaller pole room, much smaller, where we only have 4 poles. But yeah, the space it's very comfortable to train in. Yeah.
Huge.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's why the camp is there.
Yeah. That's great.
Are you one of the biggest studios in the UK?
I've never actually checked in terms of how, the square meterage of other places, but I can almost guarantee you that, yeah, probably.
Because the rent there is high, right?
It depends on your area. So in the UK, the further north you are, the cheaper things are, and then the more south you go, the crazier things get, right? So I'm in Yorkshire, so it's reasonable, but also we lucked out with this building. So we lucked out with our space a lot because we were in this same building, but on an upper floor, and it was okay, but it wasn't great. And then there was this martial arts academy that had basically 3 units combined. It took this huge space and just did it all up. And then COVID happened. So the support from the government wasn't enough for them to cover the rent on that entire space. So they split it into 3 units. And the landlord was just like, well, you can have higher poles here, bigger space and all of that. And you just have to lay a floor, put mirrors in, and maybe paint because he's renovated everything else. We were like, we're taking it. So we really, really lucked out with that. And we're we're in Leeds, and I'm not even in the city center. So the rent is reasonable. In the city center, it's extortionate. So I don't think it would be viable to have a pole studio within the city center. Yeah.
Yeah. It's extortion everywhere in Australia.
Honestly. But do you know who has the biggest? I think the biggest studio I've been, like Lizette Kroll's studio in Dublin, is ginormous.
How big is it?
Oh my God, it's a football field. And she has 2. So she has 2 rooms like that. She has her pole room upstairs, and she has her hoop and all other non-pole classes in the one downstairs. And like when I'm telling you, I thought my room was big, because it's probably, my room is like at least 16 to 20 meters long and like probably about 10 meters wide or whatever. I think I could fit at least 2.5 of my pole rooms within one of hers. That's how big it is. It is. It honestly, you walk in and you feel tiny. It's huge.
Wow.
Yeah.
What would that be then? 1,000 square meters, maybe?
Yeah. Just 1,000.
Has to, yeah, it has to, because she also has like a reception area, and she's got changing rooms and like a little private room / office thing. It's big. I think also it's like it's so funny how it differs from country to country, because in Australia obviously it's hot. So a lot of studios you can just get like the big kind of almost like warehouse type units and put a truss up and have it set up there. A lot less viable. People still do it, but it's a bit more difficult in the UK just because it gets cold. And then heating a space like that, made out of tin, essentially, would be very, very hard for us to do. So again, finding the correct space for a pole studio is a nightmare in itself, because we're like looking for a second spot, because like our lease is going to run out. Our 10-year lease is going to run out in January. And we're like, oh, just in case the new rent's not to our liking, we better find something else, and think ahead of time, plan A, we have 2 studios, plan B, we just move over, but oh my God, it's terrible trying to find, now that we've been spoiled with this beautiful space, it's terrible trying to find the perfect place to get the height and the spacing and still be able to actually pay for it,
Yeah. In Australia, it depends. Different states have different rules, but we need indoor rec as well. So you need to be able to, or you have to go for council approval, which is an extra 50K in some states. And
wow.
Yeah, no one wants to pay that. So that fitness studio or gym or something before, I think that's pretty much any state in Australia. You're okay to go straight in.
Yeah. I did a change of use at my building. So I applied for change of use and it got approved.
Did it cost you though?
No, it didn't cost me, but it took a long time.
Really? WA doesn't.
I think it cost me like $700 or something, or not 50K.
Like the first place we had we took over after a dance studio. So it was already, recreational activity. And then we took after a martial arts academy. So again, like the purpose would have already been. So I guess we were very lucky in terms of that. But I think moving forward, just given how things are navigating, I'm not, the second space is definitely not going to be quite this size. Like, I think it's more reasonable to have a decent space and just more locations than just one ginormous place. Because when things are good, it's good, but then you got to sell a lot of those memberships to even make the costs covered.
Yeah, you got to pay for the per square meter. The other thing is when you have a really big space, it's more mirrors, it's more flooring, it's more poles. Keep on adding on, you just so much more money gets spent into a bigger space just to fill it.
More paint,
Yeah.
More paint.
More paint. And then if you're also Eastern European like me, I feel like my ancestry doesn't physically allow me to pay someone for a job I can do myself. So you best
hearing you. That's after me.
I am on my hands and knees clicking that laminate together and operating like a saw for 3 days. I don't know how people do it, like professional floors or what you call. I'm like, how do you guys even still walk? Because my lower back and my knees are dead after 3 days of laying laminate flooring. But I'm like, why would I pay someone to do this? I can do this.
Yeah. Sometimes Elle sets up a new studio. I'm like, how's the painting going, Elle? How's your painting going? Did you paint every room?
My eyeballs, it's in my hair.
When you're like blowing it out of your nose in the shower.
Yeah, literally. I refuse to pay a painter. I absolutely refuse. I can do that.
Did you get a quote once? Did you get a quote once and then go like...
Yeah, I think I did. Might have got a quote once. I got a quote for flooring and I was disgusted by it. So I was like, absolutely not. My partner at the time, I said, you're learning how to lay flooring. And then we did everything else. Whatever you can do yourself, you do yourself.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then, I mean, don't make the mistake of maybe doing a house reno by yourself and opening a new studio by yourself, because that's just RIP. Why would you do that?
I've done that. I've done that.
That's why I'm advising. I've lived the experience. Don't do it.
I've done it a few times, actually. I think I need to go on to one of those building shows,
It's just proof none of us are okay in this industry. All of us are a little bit cuckoo banana crackers, because what sane person does that? Tell me.
Yes, exactly.
I know what I'll do. I will do the job of 10 men by myself.
I can do it. I can do it.
Yeah. It's a great idea.
Oh, we need to open in a week and a half? Easy.
No
easy.
No problem whatsoever.
And do you know what's funny? It's worked out every time. Every single time it was absolutely fine.
Yeah.
We never learn because we keep getting it right.
Yeah. I'm
Although
sorry.
now I say no more studios. No more studios.
Honestly, like we're just overqualified in our DIY skills. Like if we weren't, then we'd learn a lesson, but alas, it won't happen.
I kind of love it too, to be fair. I love like painting or looking back or decorating and going, I did that. Look how cool.
Until you go sick of it. Like I have that, like I hyperfixate on things because I'm autistic and I have ADHD. So I'll hyperfixate on a new thing. And I'm like, I'm going to do this whole house up. And then I do this and I do that. And then like somebody turns that switch off and I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore, but now I'm living in a construction site because there's tarps fucking everywhere. There's like, I'm stripping paint off banisters. Who thought that would be a good idea? And then, and you can't just do one side quest at a time because it's like, okay, well, whilst this paint stripper is on the banisters, which would be an amazing drag name for a drag queen who did pole dancing, paint stripper. Anyway, then... I'm like, I'm going to do my office as well. Do you know how long that office has been waiting for me to put lining paper on that wall? 8 months. Because the switch has not been flicked back on since then. So I'm like, there you go.
Yeah, I know. I'm exactly the same. I'm like, I want to do it. It's amazing. Let's get it done. And then out in my lounge room, I think I decided to paint all the skirtings black. And then I did one wall and I'm like, no, I'm done. The rest of the lounge room needs to be done, but I was done after one wall.
That's a low dopamine task now. I want to do that.
No, exactly.
Yeah. No, I painted my guest room, and again, I color drenched the whole thing. But then because I was painting over obviously like a gloss paint on the skirting boards, one layer is not going to be enough or whatever. The tape, like the masking tape around the borders, is still. Guests have stayed in that room multiple times. And there's still masking tape around the boards. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get round to that one day. I'm gonna do it. Probably.
I've mastered not using the masking tape anymore. It's
Ooh.
all about the angle. Yeah, I'm real good at it now. Like I could be a house painter.
Yeah.
I'm so good at it now. It's now you've just got to get the angle, and if you go real slow on the corners and the angle, you don't need to put the tape, because tape was the bane of my existence. It could take you a day to tape up a place, you know?
It could.
Yeah. Yep.
But I think like that's so if you ever need another profession, I think that's gonna be your influencer route. You're gonna be one of those people on TikTok who does the really satisfying lines.
Yes.
I could watch that all day. I'm like, that is such skill. I love it. I could watch those videos endlessly.
Yeah, you just have to go slow, patience. As soon as you start getting sick of it and you start going fast, pack it up for the day. You got to go slow. That's the trick to it. I think I'm a decorator, painter, studio owner, you name it. We can do so many things. What do you mean we won't get a job when we quit?
I know.
We're so qualified in so many things.
Qualified at like 1,000 things.
Yeah.
It's terrible. We can do all of these things, and then on top of that, we're pretty as well. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, I think when you own a pole dancing studio, the joy of pole dancing is very quickly gone, because you, like you say, you're not doing it for yourself anymore. You're doing it for everybody else. Which I think is something that like kind of, I guess, snuck up on me, because I thought that like I love pole dancing. So henceforth, I'm going to love having a pole dancing studio, and it's all going to be like so great and all go together. But it doesn't. It's like you just sort of a slave to it.
Yeah. I completely agree with that. And I think honestly, the rate of burnout is a lot higher in the industry than people think it is, because it's just not something you want to say out loud, to say like, maybe I'm burnt out, or maybe I lost my spark for it, or whatever. And in case anybody listening relates to something like that, I very much had to fight for my work-life balance in terms of being in pole, because I think if you have a creative job, it's pole, acting, singing, whatever, inevitably with time, you're going to notice that everybody around you is a pole dancer. All your friends are pole dancers. The people you speak to every day are pole dancers. You go to work, everybody's a pole dancer. And when you all gather together, what do you talk about? Pole dancing. It's like, and that's not normal to do in any other job. You don't clock out from your job. Like, I don't know, if you work as a cashier, you don't go home and think about grocery codes that you're going to be typing in the next day. Like, you just talk about normal human stuff, right? You just have a life, and then you have a job. And I'm like, I feel like the moment you do something creative, you feel like that's just your whole identity. And I think that's quite a dangerous path to go down, because you start tying so much of your self-worth and all of that to who you are in pole, what you can do in pole. And if, a little bit of imposter syndrome kicks in at some point, it could put you in a very dark place. And I was definitely there. And I had to just completely separate myself. And for a long period, I was like, this is just my job. That's it. This is just my job. I have a separate work phone. I have a separate personal phone. I have different social media accounts on my personal one. I don't see any pole dancing on there on social media, because again, social media, everybody pole dancer. I just see my silly cat videos, my satisfying paint line videos, some raging whoever on social media that satisfies me to watch. And I just exist as Jacob. And then when I tune in to do my job, I can be the pole wizard for however long I need to be. But it's so important to separate it and remember that you are a human being outside of this as well. And if you forget about that for too long, things can happen.
Yeah. I'm the same with social media. I love TikTok. Felix and I have spoken about this. I'm obsessed with TikTok. But I only allow myself to watch TikTok for an hour or so a day because otherwise I'd go down the TikTok hole. But I will not watch pole dancing. No pole dancing whatsoever. So I'm watching cooking, I'm watching beauty, I'm watching hair, I'm watching fashion. I do not want to see pole dancing on TikTok. Then when I go out, like I do have now started to get friends that aren't pole dancers or that maybe were pole dancers but don't do it anymore. Or then I'm mixing with other people that different business owners, all sorts of things. But you've got to, you can't, your whole world can't be one thing. My children are all adults now and they all do different things. So I actually like hanging out with my kids. I go drinking with my kids now that they're all adults. The best. They love it. They like that. They come on, Mum, come drink with us. I'm like, yeah, because Mum pays for it. That's why I get invited. I wouldn't get invited if I didn't bring the money.
Yeah, I agree. Having friends outside of pole is amazing because also it's just then like they don't care. Like they're not going to know what you're saying if you're talking about moves or pole stuff or pole drama or whatever. They're just like, you're just talking about random crap like a normal person. And it's nice to feel like a normal person sometimes.
Yeah, it's so true and so important. I think like not tying your self-worth to what you do. Like what you do doesn't make who you are. It isn't who you are. And I think when you are very attached to that persona and that life and that world and you can't live without it, that becomes a danger zone because I believe pole dancing is temporary. Like I don't think any of us are going to be doing it forever and ever and ever. Amen. Maybe for a while, like maybe I'll pole dance into my 50s and 60s, but am I going to be on the pole when I'm 80? Maybe not, you know? Am I going to be 80?
You'll be drinking with Elle's kids.
Yeah.
I'll be the designated driver. I'll be the 80-year-old designated driver.
I've forced her to drink before, don't worry.
Yeah. I can drink. I just don't like it. I was like, but it was yummy. I drank it.
Yeah, a little sip of it.
Yeah. Then I was like,
appreciated it. Yeah. But it's true. I often wonder how much longer I'm going to pole dance for because it does get harder. Like this week I've taught, I think, 12 classes this week. It's been insane because I'm back in my Canberra studio, or my studios in Canberra, and I've taught a lot of classes. I do still feel strong and I still feel like I can still keep going. I don't want to teach elite though. I don't really even want to teach advanced, although advanced is not too bad. But I don't want to teach that high level stuff anymore. But I do often think, how much longer can I do this for? I don't think I've got, if I have another 7 years in me, I think that's a lot. Like that's a lot.
Yeah. But I think what you're doing in terms of the classes, like the class levels, is also very smart because I don't know why it's an obvious thought, but it hadn't occurred to me because whenever I'm at the studio, I'm the one teaching all of the highest levels. So then I had to cover, I think on a random Saturday, I wasn't anywhere, I was at home and I had to cover. And it was just like a mixed abilities class. It was like an intro to heels class, so low level, easy choreo. I'm like, this is fantastic. I can do a nice, what for me is a very simple choreo, whereas usually I, do 700 movements per minute in my hard style choreos or whatever. I'm like, I'm doing a nice slow flow. We're taking it easy. And then they're beginners, so I get to teach them the correct technique from the get-go. I taught like 3 classes in a row. I wasn't even remotely tired. I'm like, this is incredible. Like, this is what I'm going to go down. Once I get like to a point where I'm like, I cannot, also I feel like nobody's workshop career is like indefinite. At some point, new people emerge and they're probably going to see me on a poster and be like, oh, him again. Somebody new, please. So like whenever that quiets down and I don't have to travel as much, I think I'll honestly go down the route of taking on predominantly lower level classes because I love teaching beginners and it's so much easier on the body. So I think if I want longevity, that's just what I'm going to have to do.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And I think also like the more hours you put into teaching those higher levels and the elite moves and classes, the more wear and tear you have on your body. So for me, I've got like my shoulders now are are getting to the point where they probably need surgery. So it's less my choice and more what I have to do for my body. Also, it's like it's a bit easier, so I don't mind it. But if I do teach like high level classes, I'm not demoing anymore. I'm not pushing my body anymore to do the hard things because can't do it anymore. It's hard. So I'm just saying, either look at this video or you show me, because I know I can do it. I already did it 1,000 times. It's your turn to do it. So I do a lot more teaching and guidance with my hands from the floor and less demonstrating.
I feel like a lot of people are maybe going down that path a little bit more in pole as well, because I think even some people sparked a debate about this on Instagram as to whether your pole instructor should be able to demonstrate every move that they're teaching you, or if like using either an assistant or a video aid or whatever is okay. And I'm like, well, there are tricks that I know the technique for perfectly that I was able maybe to do 8 years ago when I was a flippy fonging, whatever. I can teach you a fongie. I probably can't. I haven't done one in years. I can easily teach you it. But again, thinking about our bodies, if we are teaching X amount of privates during the day and then 3 group classes in the evening, you cannot be working out with this student for the whole time. And I compare it to like when I took contortion privates. I'm like, my contortion coach was like in her 50s. She was teaching like 8 or 9 back-to-back privates in a day. And I'm like, what, you expect her to be chest standing for 9 hours every single day and No, she showed me a video, explained it based on the video. I didn't need to see her do it. It's just important that she had the knowledge to tell me how to do it. Why do I need to see her perform it live? I don't need to.
Yeah.
No, you're right. So we actually did speak to Daisy not long ago about injuries in pole. We're all saying we're going to have to start teaching differently. We have to start teaching differently, or we're all going to be injured and we're going to be broken and we're not going to be able to do anything. Nobody in ballet teaches and shows everything. Nobody in swimming teaches and shows everything. There's no one in any of these sports. No coaches do it. So why do we feel like we need to show everything? We don't. We just need to be able to teach it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, especially ballet or ballroom or contemporary, I feel like the more experienced the teacher is, the more likely they are to teach the private lesson sat down in a chair. That's how it works.
Yeah. That's how I teach my private lessons, and I teach some of the most incredible polers, and I'm like sitting on my bum pointing my finger. They know exactly what I'm saying. We can get the best out of them. I don't need to demonstrate. You know, if I demonstrate, I'm going to do it half as well as what they do it to start.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah. You don't have to be at the same elite level as the people that you're coaching, you know? It's impossible.
Yeah.
The coach doesn't play.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
That's right. Yeah.
It's true. Yeah, you don't need to be Michael Jordan to be Michael Jordan's coach, you know?
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. Yeah. So I do think that will start to change. Look, who knows what else we need to pivot to keep going. But I think pole is here for the long run. I do think that when we started, because we've all started, how long have you been doing it for, Jacob?
14 years.
Yeah, that's a long time. You know, I think things were a little bit different then, and I think people were thinking it's just a fad or a phase that people are going through. But I really do think that pole's here for the long run. It's still, you know, there's still a lot of people doing it, and I just think that we need to start as a whole to start to pivot and do things differently and make things exciting again. So I often think, what was exciting when I first started? Why did I love it so much, and how can I give that to all my students? Those sorts of things are, because we've got a ton of students that are beginners. Everyone starts somewhere, you know. So it's just about making it exciting for them. And I think for me, a big thing that I've done differently than I used to with my instructors, I used to have the best instructors who could do the most elite moves. They would be the only ones that could instruct. Now I put instructors on that are really good with people and who can do things nicely. So I'll put a different beginner instructor on that I would never have put on before. And then I'll get, like, I've got one beginner instructor. She listens to me sometimes. So, hey, Katie, if you're listening, shout out to you. Katie, in 2 weeks, this beginner instructor got 35 5-star reviews.
Wow.
That's
awesome.
Yeah. And it was like, it's her personality. It's how she's an intermediate level polar. She's not advanced. She's an intermediate level, but she's just so good with people and she makes people feel special and good about themselves. So I think, those sorts of things will make a really big difference to how we keep running pole, because pole's hard.
Yeah.
It is hard. It is definitely hard. And people, obviously every activity is for everybody, but I feel like that's a very blanket statement that doesn't take into consideration that for some people, it's obviously dependent on their experience and other things. It's going to be more difficult. And it can become discouraging if you do your first couple of lessons and you just feel like you're getting nowhere because it's not easy. Like, even coordination, even basic stuff like dips or waves, it's just very hard for people who haven't done other things. And I completely agree with you, Elle, that we have to pivot in terms of how we can make things exciting. Because I feel like a part of it also, more when we were starting, it was just the novelty of it as well. Because for me, it was like, oh, I'm doing pole dancing. And back then the reaction was like, oh, what? Because, it just wasn't so mainstream. And now if you tell somebody you're a pole dancer, they already have some kind of connotation as to how hard it is, how much core strength you need to have and all, because they probably know someone who's done it if they've not tried it themselves. It's not the same as like a decade and a half ago. So I'm like, okay, so it's not the novelty of it anymore to quite such a high extent. So yeah, I agree that we need to think of ways to make this more exciting, to make people want to try and also want to stay.
Stay. I think that's the key, isn't it? That we're like, you can get people in the door, but let's get them to stick around, for the long run.
Yeah. Get them hooked.
Yeah. I think, a big thing is making it exciting and making it not so hard. Like they've got to come in and be able to do stuff.
Yeah, having a great experience. I always say to my instructor, like, we want to end the class with on a high. We want them walking out like this is the best part of their day. Like doesn't matter like that they've got the trick, that they haven't got the trick, whatever, that's secondary. They're coming here to escape all of the bullshit out there, all the cost of living. Like this place has to give them enough joy and enough like levity that they want to come back for it. So for me, a big focus is that escapism from reality and just really having a joyous time, so that it's something that keeps them coming back because they want to be here to have that feeling of lightness and escapism away from the real world, versus like, oh, I really want to nail this trick.
Yes. It's making me think that maybe also we got to scale down the intro level material, because whenever we have beginner courses, like it's normal to already be doing like half bracket spins, even if it's a fireman or an attitude spin. For people who don't have upper body strength or any coordination, that's already super difficult. So then obviously you have regressions that you can offer them, but just mentally they're going to think, but that was the actual element that I should have been doing. And I'm one of the only 2-3 people in the class that can't do it. So that's going to be negative. So maybe we need to scale it back a little bit so there's more of a sense of success for people who maybe don't pick it up so naturally.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. 100%.
I've actually done exactly that with a lot of my intro courses and with a lot of my beginner levels. I've just taken a lot of the more strength orientated things out and kept a lot of the dancey things in, and maybe the step arounds and things that still build the upper body but are less like free from the floor, so hung positions, like just building up, so that it's achievable universally for majority of people.
Yeah.
We've also made our dance a lot simpler too. Our dance is so anyone can get the dance. Because a lot of people don't come into us with any dance experience whatsoever. Sometimes they'll get the pole work, but then they're like, to the dance. Like, what are you doing? I don't know. So we have had to simplify that. And the way that we've simplified it, it's just made everyone a lot happier in the classes. They're like, I can actually do this now, We don't need to do this crazy Russian exotic stuff and all the flips and kips and all that sort of stuff. That's fine when you get to advanced, of course, no problem whatsoever. Yeah. But all the way up to an intermediate, it's got to be simple. It's got to be achievable. If we're making it so hard, of course people go, oh, no, it was too hard. I can't do pole. Then we're losing people. We have to simplify things.
Yeah. And I think
I completely agree. Because even the concept, like, it's become so normal for us. But if you think about it, having a fan kick included in like the class plan for the first lesson is kind of crazy. Like that is not an easy move for somebody who's never done this before. So yeah, imagine coming to a class where you just absolutely can't even touch that move. You're not going to feel great about it. Whereas if maybe just like a regression of a pull-up crunch was the designated material for that class, it would have been a different story, you know? So yeah, it is something worth brainstorming and giving a think.
But I do think it's really good to have like studio owners talking to each other. We do have a really lovely group of different studio owners in Australia that will reach out to each other. Like often I'll speak to Felix, or Felix and Beth are my two main ones that you would know Beth Finlay. She's like one of my close friends. Yeah. So the three of us will always, I will speak to you and I'll speak to Beth. But you know, between us, we've got a lot of really good ideas that we're like, oh, have you tried this? Have you tried that? And just to have a couple of studio owners that are your friends that you're close with makes a huge difference to not just sort of flying solo all the time.
Especially when like if you're experiencing something like difficult, I can be like, Elle, what are your numbers doing right now? Like what the heck am I doing something wrong? And if you say, I don't know, mine are the same, I'm like, oh, thank goodness it's not just me. Like like if this is a thing we're all experiencing, then it's, you know, it's not something I'm specifically doing. It's maybe more a wider industry thing or a wider community thing. So yeah, it's like I think really good for the mental health to have like other studio owners who you can talk to about studio ownership and about problems that you'll have or situations that you run into, because yeah, it's invaluable, really.
It is. And sometimes, you know, this is the beauty of everybody's brain working slightly differently. You're not going to come up with every good idea. So it's good to have pals who want you to do well and just tell you, listen, tried this at mine, absolutely killed it, try it. Like it should probably work. So yeah, it's good to have a support network for sure.
Are we going to ever see you in Australia? We would love to see you here. Come visit us.
Yeah, come back.
Oh, I definitely will. I think I have not gone back in a while, just because I did my first Australian tour. Oh my goodness, this would have been like 2, 3 years ago, and it went really well because I've never taught in Australia, so it was, you know, amazing. And then the next year, I did a tour that was very similar, as in I visited the similar cities, and I did Singapore again and all of that. And then it just wasn't the same. And I was like, well, yeah, because there's a lot of people touring, and I feel like visiting the same places year by year, even if people enjoyed your class, they're like, yeah, but it's, you know, I've already learned from this person. And if they're going to be coming every year, I can miss out on this one to go. And I'm like, okay, I got to make them miss me. So I have to not miss them. I'm going to make you miss me, and then I'm going to come back.
Yeah. So how many years has it been since you've been here?
Ooh, was it? I don't think I went to Australia last year. No, so it would have been 2 years ago. I was here last, I think. I think.
So maybe next year then.
Maybe because I want to also change how I travel a little bit, because I'm thinking of moving to a different country.
Really?
Yes. Oh my God. Well, this is, I guess this is on the topic of studio ownership as well. I need to have a consultation with a tax advisor, but I was like, I thrive better in warmth. I need warmth. And in the UK, we'll have like a heat wave now, and then tomorrow it'll snow. It's like unpredictable and mostly gray and wet. Like, let's face it, it's mostly gray and wet. And I thrive better in warmer conditions. And additionally, just the amount of tax I'm paying, I'm like, so then I was like researching, and it turns out that there are a few countries like Malaysia or Cyprus that don't tax you on your global income. So then any workshops, any camps, anything that I do outside of the borders of that country would be completely tax-free. Plus the weather's beautiful. Plus for the price of a house in the UK, I could have a villa with a pool there. I'm like, what am I doing here?
Wow. So where would you go?
Cyprus. Yeah.
You've been there before, obviously?
I've been about 4 times for camps or competitions, but now I actually have a little bit of time off at the beginning of July. So I've not been on a holiday in probably like 10 years because when you travel for work all the time, you feel like you see the world and then you're sick of airports. You're like, I just want to stay home. So I've not had like a holiday for myself in a very, very, very long time. So I thought maybe I'll just go and rent a place out and like pretend I'm living there for like a week to just see how I like it instead of moving my whole life over. So we'll see. We'll see. And I need to have a consultancy to know like, the split year tax thing, like when to move, how to all of that with somebody who actually knows what they're talking about instead of relying on Google. So
or chat.
or chat GPT, yeah. Because then if I'm gonna be there also in the direction of work-life balance, I think I don't want to do what I'm doing now, as in I'm away every weekend, all the damn time. Airport, insert that Lady Gaga meme. Club, another club, bus, plane, no sleep, next place. You work throughout the whole week, and then the weekend comes and you don't sleep because you have to take like some silly 5 a.m. flight, and then you go to the next place, and then different country on Sunday, and then you fly back and you're exhausted, but the cycle continues and restarts. You have to go do all of that again. So I was like, oh, I would rather like go and work my butt off for like 2, 3 weeks doing a tour where I teach during the week as well, and just do something like that, and then get to come back home and enjoy 2.5, maybe 3 months at home, and then just do another tour where I stack it all together. So actually, Australia would play into that very nicely if I do make the move.
Yeah, be exciting. Would you open a studio in another country?
No.
So you'd keep your studio there?
I would keep my studio definitely here, and maybe I'd have a second one here. Well, we'll see with the plans, right? We're going to want to open a second one before January, probably, just to be on the safe side. And maybe I'd like find a nice space there to bring people to me and organize events there, maybe a nice camp or whatever. But mainly I'd just stick to my online and my traveling, and then just enjoy life, like if I'm gonna be teaching online twice a week and then just doing some tours, then I'll have a lot of free time during the week that I could just dedicate to bettering myself and focusing on myself and focusing on the goal of life that I think people frequently forget about. Just be happy. Just be happy on this floating rock. Do whatever you have to do to be happy. So that's the change I'm trying to make for myself.
Yeah. Well, you do think about that, don't you? Because life is short. So if you died tomorrow, would you be happy with the life that you've lived?
Exactly. Just graft, graft, graft. And honestly, you've been to Thailand before?
I have not. You would have. Yeah, I have not been to Thailand. No.
Just one thing that I observed there, it's just the laid back like style of life. Like I don't know, you could be walking down the street and there'll be two pals. One drives a tuk-tuk, one has like a food stand and whatever. And they're just sat on a bench, chatting away, laughing, having an amazing time because they live in a beautiful country. They have great weather. They have, access to the sea and all of that. And I'm like, and then you can get by with just having your basic needs met because you get a dopamine hit just from your surroundings and from the sun and all of that. And then I feel like the more west we go, we have such a hustle culture because you have to graft, 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 because that's how you get money. And money is how you can pay for things that give you that dopamine hit that you don't naturally have because you have graft culture. So it makes you think about what are we doing? Like it almost turned into a necessity at this point with how expensive everything is that you have no other choice but to do that. But I'm like, but is this all that life is? Is this all it is? Just this cycle of working and working and being exhausted all the time? Like there must be a better way to do this life thing,
You need to live as well. You can't just work all the time and everything be a hustle. You've got to be able to live and have fun and be happy.
Be happy.
Yep. Strong agree.
Be happy. Well, it was really lovely speaking to you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
We must tell the people if they want to find you at the Instagrams. Your Instagram handle is?
So it's the Pole Wizard with underscores between, or all in one go. You'll also find the Pole Wizard online, but that's my online thing. So if you want that, you can go there, and just the Pole Wizard for me.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. It's been such a great pleasure talking with you, and some really, really important things that we need to think about as pole dancers and studio owners. And it's always lovely to see your face. So thank you so much for talking with us. It's been a
Thank you.
pleasure.
I've loved it.
Yay. And thank you everyone for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.